We are now live here on a Tuesday night on the IBM Facebook page and streaming live to YouTube for Inside the Ring. I am your host, Ryan Pilling, and we have what I'm pretty sure is going to be a magic-packed evening, going from over the decades and over the styles and all sorts of things. And of course, card tricks. There's going to be card tricks, let's be honest. If you're here in the chat room, you're welcome to type in, say hello, say where you're from. We will be incorporating your comments, your questions in the show. Dan is here from Kissimmee, Florida, and James is here from Ohio, and I'm here live from Ottawa. I was shoveling a foot of snow off my driveway today, and then I was just in a virtual meeting with the folks in Palm Springs, California, and they have a very different life experience. I think they've made better life choices in a lot of ways. But we have people from all over the place. Ariel, hey, Ariel's joining us from another cold Ontario magician. Clark is here for the hyper chaos because I just finished another show, so this is back-to-back presentations. Coming in from Illinois and Idaho and all the way, Joel, again from Australia. Welcome back, Joel. We are here every month doing Inside the Ring. Sure, there's a new issue of the Linking Ring magazine every month, and yes, our shows are kind of based on the current magazine, but by no means are we tied or limited. Tonight we'll be digging back into the archives, sharing some magic from the current edition, as well as going back to, I think the oldest thing is 1925. That's how far back we're going tonight. So, with that, I'm going to kick things off with one of our parade contributors from this month. I got in touch with the Fox Valley Ring, who contributed the Hocus Pocus Parade this month, and said, I would absolutely love to invite any of you folks to share your magic and be a part of the show. And so that is exactly what I'm going to do, because they stepped up and they helped me out big time by sharing some of their tricks. I just need to load it up because I forgot to prepare the clip. So here we go. Coming up in just a minute, the first presentation from Marv Roth presenting his trick. That's it. Just watch it. Just watch it.
My name is Marv Roth. There are probably more good oil and water routines on the market today than there are days in the month. In the February issue of the Linking Ring, you will find a piece that I've written on an oil and water routine, and I would like to demonstrate that routine at this time. We're going to start with some cards. Let's start with some black cards first. And then we'll have a few red cards. So we have 4 red cards and 4 black cards. The red cards, the black cards. The red cards are on the bottom, the black cards are on top. I turn the cards over and I have red. Red, red, red. And over here I have black, 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 and lastly black. I'm now going to mix these cards. A red card and a black card, and a red card and a black card, and a red card and a black card, a red card, and then lastly a black card. You're all familiar with oil and water. Because the water molecules are heavier than the oil molecules, if you shake oil and water in a beaker, they will mix up. But if you set the beaker down, they will settle out so the oil molecules, the lighter molecules will rise to the top and the water molecules will stay on the bottom. That same principle is true of milk and cream. And it is also true of red and black. These cards have been sitting here for a while, so we take 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, and we have black. and black and black and black, we have 4 black cards. And over here we have red and red and red and red. Let's try that one more time. The red cards go here. The black cards go on top. We turn the cards over. Red, 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 red. Black, 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 and lastly black. Once again we mix the cards. A red card, black card, a red card, a black card, a red card, a black card, a red card, and lastly a black card. We let these cards settle out. When I first started doing this routine, I didn't wait long enough, and when the colors are moving from one card to the other, I would get streaky cards because I didn't wait long enough. You have to give them time to actually reassemble themselves. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. And these cards, once again, are black and black and black and black. And the cards over here are red and red and red and red. I was doing this routine a while back. I imagine many of you have faced hecklers, and hecklers are not our favorite friends. Well, I had this heckler that said, if you are so good, let's see you do this routine with the cards facing up. Well, you see, they put our credibility on the line, so what do? Well, you do the best you can, and so I said, okay, let's try that. Red, 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 and red. Black, 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 black. I put down a black card, and I put down a red card, and I put down a black card, and I put down a red card. I put down a black card, I put down a red card, I put down a black card, and I put down a red card. My friends, it just absolutely couldn't be any more fair than that. We turn the cards over and we allow them to just reassemble themselves, red and black, just like oil and water. Once that process has taken place, I think we've waited long enough, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. And these cards, my friends, are black and black and black and black. But my friends, there are only 4 cards, and we'll lay the black cards over here. Here I have 2 red cards, and here I have 2 more red cards. The red cards are going to lie on top of the black cards. See, I've often wondered if the cards will separate out. If you took them and put them in a beaker, so to speak, and shook them up like you did oil and water, like this, what would happen? And I found that what would happen is you'd have a red card and a black card, and a red card and a black card, and a red card and a black card, and a red card, and lastly a black card. And that, my friends, is oil and water.
And in particular, that was Marv Roth presenting Oil and Water from the Fox Valley Ring 398 Parade in this month, February 2021, page 98. You can check that out. I'd say that was squeaky clean handling, but it was well oiled, so no squeaks. Eh? Eh? Oil and water joke. Okay. As I said, tonight we have a wide variety of magic, and I'm super thrilled to have our live guest here tonight in studio with me to present the sort of thing you don't get to see very often. This is a sneak peek into a private collection of some very unusual magic. Talking about the latest issue. This is an article that our guest contributed about the magic of Tony Anverdi. So to share some of his magic, some of his collection, please welcome our guest, Chuck Caputo. Hooray! There's no audience to clap, so.
How are you, Ryan?
Hey, Chuck, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I'm excited to have you here and excited to see. I've seen, and some of you may recognize Chuck's face because he does share a lot of videos and a lot of magic. You're kind of on a mission to document this magic,
Yes.
and I'm very thankful for it.
Well, thank you. You know what, it's a pleasure being here today, and I certainly I am very honored to be in the linking ring as well.
Yeah, so you wrote an article in this February 2021 edition titled "The Groundbreaking Creations of Tony Anverdi," and I think let's just back it up for a second. I know people can head into the magazine and read the article, but just a quick. Who is Tony Anverdi? What do we need to know about this guy?
Well, sure. I tell you, Tony Anverdi, Ryan, is probably one of the most amazing inventors in our time. He was a pioneer of microelectronic technology. He lived in Holland. He was born in 1925, I believe, and he passed away in 1995. And he created a lot of the groundbreaking material, which is what we use now. He put electronics to rising cards, talking skulls. He came out with the mental die, which is a fantastic effect where you drop the die into the opaque box. And his original version shot a signal, and it would light up a matching LED, which would tell you which digit was facing up. As a matter of fact, behind me, I'll be demonstrating the original Anverdi die.
Yeah, because I know they just came out with the re-release of it and a modern take on it. But I think that's the thing that stands out to me was that this guy was creating electronic magic in an era when this was not easy.
Exactly. And you know what a lot of people don't seem to realize, Ryan, was he also invented a lot of liquid magic. Okay. He came out with a lot of trays where the glasses were next to each other. When you pour milk into one glass, the other glass would fill with liquid. And he had a unique gimmick on his trays, which was ingenious. You could actually pick that glass up, okay, once it filled up. And then you would switch them around on the tray. That glass would deplete as the other one would fill up. I mean, it was amazing, very visual. So he came out with a lot of liquid magic as well.
You mentioned in your article how he worked primarily in plexiglass.
That's right.
Which is not often seen and a unique kind of signature of his magic.
Exactly.
So I think this is an example of how that makes the magic so much more visual because it's literally see-through in a lot of cases.
Right.
So I have a friend here who always talks about creating magic and looking at materials you're using and the special properties of those materials that lend themselves to the magic. So when dealing with plexiglass, is there any kind of secrets of plexiglass that lends itself to magic? Why was he using plexiglass?
You know what? That's a good question, to be honest with you. But you have to remember, Ryan, plexiglass comes in all colors. Now, some of his things were clear, but quite a few of the effects, he used a lot of black plexiglass. He used orange, blue, green. I mean, all different colors. So it's not just clear, but his bottles and his pitchers were clear, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Do you know, was he the craftsman behind this, or did he have someone that he would hire that out to?
Oh no. He actually worked on everything himself, and he had a workshop. From my understanding, he was from Holland, so he was from the Netherlands, and he actually had a workshop up in his attic, from my understanding, and he would actually build everything himself, and he sold it all around the world, probably mostly to the United States. But, he was way ahead of his time. I mean, way ahead of his time. Ryan, I was fortunate enough to work with Del Rey back in the mid 80s. I'd say about 86, 87. So I became friends with Del Rey. He got me into electronic magic, and I built a lot of, my own props as well. But then at that time, I also found out about Tony Anverdi. And this is pre-internet. So I had to call different places and find out. And one of the first props I bought was his talking skull, which also I have behind me here, which I'll show you guys. But yeah, you know what? I mean, he was absolutely fantastic, way ahead of his time. And if he would have lived longer, I mean, I'd be curious to know what he would have made after, years later even.
Yeah. Now, I know I'm as I said, I'm super curious about this kind of stuff and the creative process behind it, but I don't want to get too deep into it. Would you mind sharing and showing something for us?
Sure, I'll be happy. So I'm going to step out of the way, guys, and hopefully this is close enough for you. If not, I can try and move the computer. Can you guys see me okay back here?
It looks okay to me.
Is it okay?
Yeah, I see a tiny little skull.
Okay, yeah. What I'm going to do, guys, is show you a couple of his famous effects that he made really popular. This is the Anverdi mental die, which, as you mentioned, there are Murphy's is coming out with the new versions, and they're fantastic. They did a really good job. This is the original one, okay? And I'm going to demonstrate this to you. Here's the receiver, which is basically a little black box. And this is very old. It goes back probably 1976, 1975. If you look on here, there's numbers, and it's going to light up. It's going to tell you what number is face up. So if you hand the spectator the die, they can place it in. Let's say number 2 goes in. They drop it in. If it still works, yes, number 2 has lit.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Okay. And if he was to, if the spectator was to place another one, let's go with number 5. And from across the room, you can discern the number 5 has lit. It's a little shaky, but it has lit. Okay. Now let me show you what's cool about this, Ryan. If a spectator would put number 6 in like this, nothing lights. So it's blank. All right. So you have an option here. Somebody either is playing games with you and they did not put the die in the box, or it's number 6.
Yeah.
So that's the choice. That's the choices you have. But I'm going to take this apart and show the viewing audience. I know this goes worldwide, so I think you guys are really get a kick out of this. The one spot is a screw. Okay. You mentioned
this is something the audience handles, so it has to be hidden so well.
Exactly. Now this is a little screw head. This is actually a piece of plastic, plexiglass. You mentioned plexiglass. He has a little piece of white plexiglass on a screw. I'll hold that up. I hope you can see that. And here's where the lid comes off. It's always on the one spot. That's the way he built it. And this is 30, almost 35 years old, and it still works.
Wow.
Okay, here's the battery. Okay, all the micro electronics.
Would you be able to bring that closer to the camera just so we can get a look inside?
Absolutely, I'll be glad to. I'm going to hold this right up to you guys, and I'll take the battery out. Okay. And if you look down there, those are the little pots, those little white and round things. Those are potentiometers. This thing gets out of tune a lot. Okay, so that's the thing about his stuff. It did get out of tune, so you have to, which I'm going to show you how to tune some of this stuff, okay?
Yeah.
Let me come a little closer, Ryan, with the receiver. This is going to blow your mind. Here's the on-off switch. I'm going to turn it off now. And look at this in here. These are hand-wound coils.
Wow.
Okay, it takes 2 1.5 size N batteries. It's amazing that this thing even still works. And like I said, it does get out of tune frequently, but but it's a little difficult to tune. You have to be very patient, but you can do it. Okay, so that's the Anverdi mental die. Put this over here. Here we have, guys, this is the talking skull. This is the original Anverdi talking skull. And I'm going to put him right up in here, up on the front. Whenever you want, he could clack his jaw. Okay? And he's great at discerning card selections. You can make a fan. You can give the cards a shuffle. What I usually do is have a spectator select a card. It doesn't matter which one, really, as long as the skull doesn't see. I'll show you guys. Okay?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, put it back inside here. What I usually say is, this is the great Skeletini. I dug him up. Skeletini, would you help me find the card? He said yes. Was it an ace? Was it a 2? He says it was a 2. Was it a black card? How about a red card? He says it was a red card. Was it a diamond? How about a heart? He says it was a heart. That is the great Skeletini. But this is the Anverdi skull. And I'm going to bring this a little closer for the viewing audience to see as well. He's a beautiful, beautiful skull. And he's mounted on a clear backboard. And his jaw is actually up from the base. There's a magnet in his jaw. And in the base here, I'm going to open this up so you guys can see. It operates on a coil. There's an electromagnet. Okay, and when you push the transmitter button, this coil gets juiced. And it'll actually turn on and pull the jaw down. Inside the jaw, there's a very weak spring. Now, what I wanted to tell the viewing audience, if you want to tune these things, you're best to get a non-metallic screwdriver. Now, this screwdriver has seen better days, and this is a metal one. So you probably shouldn't really be using it, but it'll be okay. Right here is a potentiometer. That's a pot. Okay, if it gets out of tune, you're going to place this in and gently rotate it. You could go clockwise, counterclockwise while you're pushing the transmitter button. So it'll get it in tune. Now these have
So just
yes,
so potentiometer, as far as I know, it changes the amount of current coming through or something like that. Is that generally
yes,
the
it
idea?
actually hones in the currents. It'll actually get it as sharp as possible, make it as crisp as possible.
Okay, so that was my question. When you're tuning this, what's the result of tuning it?
Okay, you know what? Prior to tonight's performance, Ryan, the skull was out of tune.
Okay.
So I literally had about 5 minutes to sit down and tune it. Okay, because when I pushed the button on the transmitter, his jaw would lag. It would like hang a little bit, like it
I
was
see.
loose.
I see.
So
So
I could
it's
tell
like
it was off kilter. So I basically had to make a few adjustments. Here's the transmitter, which I wanted to show you what I did. Okay, this is the transmitter. What I did, I'm going to hold this up for you, is I attached a wire. I actually two wires, and I put it to a toe switch. So that way I attached it to a insole, and it goes into, this is designed for my right foot. So I place it into the insole, and my big toe will step on this. Okay, and that's going to throw a signal, and it'll activate the skull. So that way your hands are free. Okay, now here's the antenna. His things came with antennas. Nowadays you don't need antennas because it's modern. But he had antennas. There's a little pin on the end, and I would run it up my trouser leg, and I'd pin it to the inside of my leg. Okay, here's the on-off switch. Okay, but if anybody is looking for a switch, a toe switch, they are online. How should I say? Museums would actually use these things. When you put things on, and if you take it off, it would actually sound off an alarm.
oh, like an alarm, yeah.
Yeah, years ago, I bought them from tapeswitch.com. I don't know if they're still around. This is about 15 years ago. You might try it. Search different things. I'm sure you guys are good detectives. All right, let me show you a few other quick things here, Ryan. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Oh, it's very interesting stuff. This is now.
Okay.
You said in your article that you kind of learned electronics because of this magic. Like you got into magic
Yes.
first and then went to learn electronics. So like,
Yes, I did.
What did you need to learn in order to perform and maintain this stuff?
What I actually started doing, Ryan, you know what? Back when I started magic, I was heavily into sleight of hand. So I got my start with complex sleight of hand. So I still do a lot of sleight of hand. But after I worked with Del Rey and we became acquaintances, we'd talk on the phone every once in a while. He was a great man, by the way. Basically, I started to dissect RC cars, radio controlled cars. This was back in the 80s. And they run off of two common frequencies, channel 27 and 49. 26, 27, channel 49. They're fairly common, so they get interfered real quick. But I'd take it apart and I'd build different things, card rises and so forth. But like I said, it's a common frequency. So these things would pick up interference very quick. Then I switched to the key fob type of things, which is what we have now for the car alarms. Okay. So yeah, I mean, basically what I do is I design my own magic, or I take older magic props that were not electronic and I put electronics into it. So you can modernize them. And it's a lot of fun to do, you know what? And it's a fantastic hobby. When I have chance, that's what I like to do. But here's something kind of cool.
All right.
This is Anverdi's Dalimental. I hope you can see that.
Yeah.
And basically it's a black plexiglass box. It has an opaque lid. You can show it all around. A spectator can turn these dials and set them to whatever digit they want. See the little pink strips?
Yes.
Okay, like right now we're set at 5, 2, 7. Okay, and they can cover it, place a rubber band around it, hand it back to you, and I can immediately tell what that is. I'll show you what I'm doing. I have my wedding band on my pinky today, which I never do. I've been married for 29 years, but today I put it on my pinky for a reason. Because when you touch one of the screws, which is right here, that's a split screw. That's a switch, believe it or not.
Oh,
If a piece
connect
of
the
metal
two halves.
exactly, if a piece of metal touches it, it'll light up. Okay. Now the one bulb is a little loose right now. That's what it is. Okay, but you can see there's a 5 and there's a 2 there.
Yeah.
Now this third bulb is kind of iffy right now. I'd have to open it up and actually tighten it a little bit, but that's what happens. Okay, it's an ingenious effect. This is called Dalimental. This is the original Dalimental. It goes back, you know what? I'm kind of bad with years, so I don't want to I don't want to give a wrong year, but I would say maybe late 60s, somewhere around there. But somewhere in that area. Okay. Oh,
to me, the most fascinating part of that is that switch. Like, to me, that's the clever part of that. That's like,
oh, it's ingenious. It's ingenious. Absolutely. Ryan, here's a box that I built for the skull. I actually built this myself. I housed the talking skull in here. And it's black plexiglass and clear plexiglass. You know what? It's not so hard to work with plexiglass. Basically, what I use is a coping saw. A little disc stander will make it nice and square. I put the hinges on, but put a nice handle on there. So the skull, I built it specifically to house the skull. They'll fit right in there, and you could put a little pin in there to latch it. But that's how I carry it around. They keep it in good shape. I'm going to show you something else here. Like I said, he made a lot of liquid magic too, folks.
oh yeah.
Okay, now here's one quick liquid thing. Liquid by its very nature is messy. We all know that, right? Okay, now let's say this glass was over here, Ryan, and I really couldn't reach it with the bottle. You do this. Right. There you go. That's Anverdi's long neck bottle. Okay, and he hand fashioned everything. I mean, this is a plexiglass tube, and he fashioned the collar that goes around it. He cut a smaller tube that fits into place. It was a comedy gag. It was very, very funny. I've actually used that quite a few times. It went over very well. But let me show you a couple quick things, Ryan.
Yes, please.
Anverdi wrote several books. These are his lecture notes. I think these are 1964. And I'll tell you what, there's number 1 and number 2. And these are still available. If you look around, they are still available.
I actually had one of those in my collection once
from great.
An estate sale.
Okay. But in here, he tells other things too. He also came up with some really clever ways with billiard balls, silks, rings, and scarves. I mean, some really, really neat ideas. I'm on YouTube, and I actually demonstrate a few of these. So if you check my website, or my wife's website, you can, not website, if you search our key names on YouTube, you can see me demonstrate a few of his principles. In his lecture notes, he also shows, like I said, a lot of the scarves and rings, fantastic effects, and some of the liquids. He has a few of the liquid effects in here as well. Okay, in 1965, I believe, he wrote a book called Miracles with Liquids. And this is a really cool book. This is still available too. It is getting kind of rare, but he explains a lot of his liquid magic. I mean, brilliant, brilliant stuff. From glasses to the trays, which I told you about. He actually tells how to make them. Here's his tray, one of his trays. So if you're kind of handy, you can build one, or if you know somebody who is kind of handy, but some really cool stuff in there. Before he passed away, I believe in 1992, he came out with this book, which is 50 Years of Magical Creations. This is available too. You gotta look around. They go for a couple $100 now at least, but it's a really cool book. It shows all of his electronic magic, as well as I have some papers in here, as well as his rings and scarves. Some really, really cool magic. And he goes into detail about everything, how he makes the bottles, how he fashioned the bottles. That's in there as well. So if anybody wants to get into it, what I would stress to people is try to build some stuff. You don't know what you can do until you try. Don't be afraid. Give it a shot. One more thing I wanted to show you, Ryan, is one of his catalogs. This is one of his catalogs from Holland. And it's actually pretty cool. He would show his different items he would sell, and he would write the prices in before he mailed it out in the little circles. Here's his walking table, which I'm online. I actually demonstrate his walking table as well. Some really cool stuff. Anverdi was a baker by trade. Most people don't know that, and he was a magical clown. And I have a picture. It's actually 2 pictures here, but it's the same one. This is Anverdi dressed as a clown. He was a European clown. Isn't it neat?
Very diverse skill set.
Yes. Our clowns over here from the U.S. and different parts of the world do not look like this usually. I mean, he was really cool. Mm-hmm. And on the back, it just gives some information. But this is an original photo. And you know what? For years, I've been trying to locate footage of him, because he did make TV appearances. Mm-hmm. And I have not been successful in finding any. So it's out there somewhere.
We'll
If anybody
put
has
the
a
call
clip,
out. If anyone knows anything, Chuck is dying to get this footage.
if anybody has a clip of Anverdi out there, send it to me. Place it on YouTube.
Yeah. Now, we did have one question come in from Jim here
Yes.
asking, I don't know if this is based on something he heard or just a random question, did he have a Rubik's Cube effect?
Anverdi was building his props. I think the Rubik's Cube came out when I was in high school, by 1979, 1980.
I think
Okay,
so,
so
79, yeah.
yeah. I don't believe he jumped on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't pass away till 95, but no, as far as I know, he did not. For some reason, the Rubik's Cube has made a resurgence. If you remember, Doug Henning made it popular in about 1982, 1983. It was called the Enchanted Cube, and now it made a resurgence for some reason.
Now, another trick that Anverdi is responsible for, which has a resurgence, is color match.
Color match,
People
absolutely.
may not realize that is an Anverdi idea, that where you have the markers and you tell people what part to color, and you are able to predict the result.
That's exactly correct. The one Anverdi made, which I do have in my collection, I didn't bring tonight. Basically, you have two clipboards. One goes to the spectator, one goes to yourself, and there's two stands. Again, all black plexiglass, and there was pens that stood up, different colored magic markers. There was a 6-pen version and a 7-pen, I believe. And so the spectator would basically take a pen while your back is turned, and there was a chart drawn on a piece of paper, like a pie graph, and they would color in one part, put the pen back. You would take a pen with your back turned to them and color in, and so forth and so on. At the end of the routine, you would turn it around, and they would both match, hence the name color match. Yeah. But it was really cool effect.
And yeah, it had, I don't know if it was a year or 2 years ago that it seemed to just be everywhere again. Everyone's doing that trick.
Absolutely.
And, the technology has improved, but the cleverness and the idea is 100% Anverdi, 100% original.
Exactly.
Well, Chuck, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your magic. I know this is only the tip of the iceberg. There is in your collection alone. There's so much more, and you've been doing a great job of getting it out on YouTube. So again, I popped this up earlier, but just to make sure everyone's clear, search for either Chuck or Sherry Caputo on YouTube, and there are dozens of videos of just demonstrations talking about this old magic and sharing everything in your collection.
That's right.
I really appreciate that ability to see this magic that otherwise doesn't exist. So,
well, thank you for having me, Ryan, and thanks for the folks for watching. I hope to see you again sometime.
Thank you very much, Chuck. You have a good night.
You too. Bye.
And Chuck's article is in the latest Linking Ring. Here it is, page 23 of the February 2021 edition, talking about the magic of Anverdi and how Chuck came to be a part of it, or collect it, and a description of many of his effects. Well worth reading, and Chuck gave you a few great jumping off points to go deeper down the rabbit hole. Coming up next, what do we have? What do we have? Oh, we have one of our regular guests here on the show, because he was ahead of his time in the, speaking of people ahead of his time, our next presenter on the show here, I'm talking and clicking at the same time, so we'll see how that goes. Our next presenter on the show is a columnist from Card Corner. Please welcome Mike Powers, demonstrating the latest and greatest from his column.
This is Dirty Dog Transpo, the Card Corner column from February of 2021. This is my wife Maria. She's going to help demonstrate this fine effect from Ed Haas. So Maria, give the pack a shuffle so that nobody knows anything about the order of the cards. And let's get a selection. Very fair way to do it would be for you to cut about half the packet back over towards you. So you've cut to this card. If you had cut one deeper, it would be this one. Two deeper, it would be that one. But you cut here. I'm going to show you the card, and I'll show the camera the card as well. Now go ahead and lift up about half of the cards that you have. I'll put your card right in the middle. Now I'm going to give my pack a cut. I have a selection as well. I'll take a look at my selection and place it down inside of my packet. This is where it gets cool. I snap my fingers, my card rises to the top. If you snap your fingers, your card will rise to the top. Now, mine was the 7 of diamonds. What was yours?
6 of spades.
6 of spades. Wait a minute, this is the 6 of spades. What have you got? I wonder if it could be the 7 of diamonds. Bonus magic. High five for the magic dude. And that is Dirty Dog Transpo.
And that is on record as the fastest trick ever on this show. The trick itself is only 1 minute long, but it packs really strong magic. That is from the latest Card Corner, Dirty Dog Transpo by Ed Haas. Page 111, February 2021. Rolling right along. As I said, we got a lot of magic to squeeze into one episode, so I am just trucking on. We have another from Fox Valley Parade. And that will be Michael Schroeder is coming up next in the agenda. Share another trick from the parade. And again, I just want to be clear. The point of this show is to get you to dig into those pages of the magazine, because all these cool tricks that you read and you're like, meh, then you see them in person like this and you're like, hey, that's pretty cool. And you go and read it. So that's the point. We're not here to teach the magic. We're here to direct you to the magazine and inspire you to pick it up and read more. Learn more magic. So here we go with Chaos from Michael Schroeder.
Hi, Rebecca. Will you help me with a magic trick?
Sure.
All right, go ahead and shuffle the cards for me, please. Great. Comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, let's take a look at the cards. Make sure they are shuffled, correct?
Yes.
All mixed, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have you in a moment tell me to stop. I'm going to riffle through the packet, okay? And at any moment, you tell me when to stop. We're going to select you a card. Go ahead.
Stop.
Right there.
Yes.
Take a look at the card. Do not show me. Memorize it. Show the camera. All right. Put it back down. One more time. Just like that. Shuffle the cards for me, please. Okay, good. Now, I don't know where that card is. You don't know where that card is. It's somewhere in the pack. I'm going to let you in on a secret. Magicians are trained. We're trained to read fingerprints. Your card has got your fingerprints all over it. So I'm going to try to find it. No, not that one. Oh, yeah. Right here, that's your card.
No.
It's not your card?
No.
Okay, strike one. How about this? You give me 2 more strikes. 2 more chances. Okay?
Okay.
All right, what I'll do is I'm going to try to cut to your card. Never fails. I always get it on the second try. There?
No.
It's not it? Okay, great. Go a little. Third try? That one?
No.
That's not it either. Okay, great. I failed. I messed the trick up. So, would you do me a favor and give me another chance? Let's just do something different.
Sure.
Okay, please hold your hand out. Hold out your left hand. Okay, great. And was that your card?
No.
It's not? Okay, good. Well, that's your card now. It's the Ace of Spades. I'm going to put the Ace of Spades right here on top. Put your other hand on top of that. Now, the idea here is not to let me get that card, okay? Are you holding on to the Ace of Spades?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, my card is the 10 of clubs. Is that your card?
No.
No. Okay. I'm going to take the 10, and I'm going to come right over just like that. In a moment, those 2 cards are going to switch, okay? I'm going to use some magic, so watch this. Hands are quicker than the eye. Just like that. Did you feel the magic?
Sure.
Did you? Okay, because if you did, I have the ace of spades. Now, if this worked well, you should have the 10 of clubs. Take a look. What do you have?
My card.
Is that your card?
It is my
From
card.
before?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
That was from Michael Schroeder. Chance, you have your pick of the litter for card transpo ideas here in this month's Linking Ring. So again, thank you so much to the members of Fox Valley Ring for contributing to the magazine, first of all, and then being willing to go the extra step and send me videos. This is my hope for this show, honestly, is to not just have me up here yammering away, but to have you up here yammering away. So I'm always open to accepting videos and contributions from you folks, as long as the only one rule is that it has to somehow tie back to the Linking Ring magazine. It can be this month, it can be last month, it can be 10 years ago, it can be 99 years ago. But if you want to perform something or share something or talk about something from the magazine, be my guest. I'd love to have you. And we have the virtual applause coming in. Thank you so much for the folks following along in the chat room. Now, oh my goodness, as I said, jam-packed. Let's keep on rolling or else I'm going to run out of time. We aim to squeeze as much Linking Ring goodness that we can into 1 hour. And next up, oh my goodness, it's time. It is time, folks and folkettes, folksicles. We are coming up with this. The magic news. The really, really late magic news. Sure, the rest of the show is all magic, but this is the segment of the show where I get to take stories of just nonsensical randomness and compile it into one little segment that, if you were there at the time, it would be news. But now it's just historical dust bunnies under the couch. Let's sweep up and see what we find. First, we're going back to August 1963. The column Mentalists and Mentalism, written by Bob Nelson. Thinking back on the golden era of radio mentalism, 1927 to 1934, I realized what a cinch it would have been in those days if we had the modern technical advancements. How easy it would have been to tape a dozen programs and gone on a well-deserved vacation, rather than have been tied down to the daily grind, day in, day out. Again, such is progress. If only old Robert Nelson was here today to see just how lazy mentalists could be. From Francis Marshall, Around Chicago, January 1962. Some hot news in television magic. The last Don Allen Magic Ranch TV showing was aired December 24th and featured George and Betty Johnston. The show is up for reruns, but there's nothing definite to report as of yet. A really great trick for a kid's show on TV was shown that same morning by Mark Wilson, in which he fulfilled the magic threat of turning a boy into a rabbit. He vanished and reappeared a Cub Scout. Mark Wilson had opened his own workshop and prop building department, and has gathered various smart West Coast and elsewhere boys like Francis Martineau, Jim Summer, and others whose minds will be blended to keep Mark Wilson moving up on television, which has always been his general direction. Mark has the real executive's attitude towards his show. No one man can think of everything, dream up everything, do up everything. By recruiting clever young people, he not only helps himself, but he gives them a chance to acquire terrific know-how into what is one of the most demanding businesses in the world today. Congratulations all around. Finally, we dig in to a juicy morsel of magic gossip. This is the stuff that ends magic clubs. And boy, have we got a doozy, only by the person in question. This from the editorial, July 1925. The IBM is 3 years old at this point. The editor writes, "In justice to our esteemed member, Brother Clinton Burgess, we wish to make mention of why he was expelled from the SAM. The reason was stated in the Magical Observer and Le Prestidigitateur, but to our knowledge has not appeared in any U.S. magical journal." Ah, the intrigue. "As the whole matter is concerned with just one officer of the SAM and not in the whole society, we feel it our duty to state the facts. We feel that the SAM members in general, as well as most of the officers, hold Brother Burgess in high esteem. Certainly we of the IBM regard him as a very worthy member. Mr. Albert Gissart, the SAM, and Brother Clinton Burgess were expelled for, quote, unbecoming conduct. And I am quoting from Brother Burgess's letter, the following excerpt, which gives the details of the case. Here we go. 97-year-old magic gossip. This is the good stuff. Quote, "The whole matter hinges on the writing and publication of the Eliot book." Just for reference, that was Eliot's last legacy. "I spent over 18 solid months writing and compiling this work. Then, after I turned over all my manuscript to Houdini, who financed the publication, Houdini did nothing at all for me, not even to the extent of giving me a copy of the work I wrote. I had to pay $2.40 for each copy I needed for my various subscribers. Furthermore, the name of the true author, myself, was omitted from the cover of the book and printed in type so small on the title page you would almost require the use of a magnifying glass to read it. Whereas Houdini's name was plastered all over the book. Owing to this and other mean treatment of me by Houdini after he got my manuscript in his hands, I wrote my friend and the SAM compeer, Albert Gissart, giving him the whole facts in the case, and he translated my letter at my request, and the translated letter was forwarded to Monsieur Auguste Meunier, editor of the Parisian magic journal, Le Prestidigitateur. My letter, I understand, was published verbatim in that magazine. Houdini then wrote the editor something about being outraged by the contents of my published letter, and Monsieur Auguste Meunier's victorious reply to Houdini appeared in a later issue, and doubtless made Houdini cuss himself he ever dared to air his troubles to a Frenchman. Then Houdini made a charge against Mr. Gissart and me for conduct unbecoming of members, which eventually led to our expulsion from the society. Neither Mr. Gissart nor I considered at the time that the society or its council should be bothered about a matter purely personal in its nature, and so wrote its secretary, Mr. Van Diem. At that time, too, in the middle of the busy winter season, I was too busy to attend a council meeting as requested, and Mr. Gissart himself had his own time fully occupied attending to his patients, drawings and models of which were scattered all over his office in his home here on Tiamat Place. There are the facts in this case taken from Brother Burgess's letter. We wish it understood that the Linking Ring does not wish to enter into any argument in the matter. We're just printing this in justice to Brother Burgess, and also because we have received so many inquiries from magicians of the world over, both SAM and IBM members, asking for particulars on the matter. Oh, oh. How about that? So next time you open up your copy of Eliot's Last Legacy, just know that that little tiny name, Clinton Burgess, it said the title page, it says, what does it say? Edited by Houdini in literally huge letters, and then compiled by Clinton Burgess. time, literally. So here we are, 97 years later. How much has changed in magic? Not much. And that is the really late magic news for tonight. Let's get back to the magic tricks. And with this, I'm going to do a bit of a precursor to this because I wanted to make sure it's in context, because afterwards I wanted to share a few more ideas about it, because this is what I love talking about, the process, the creative process of magic. So a contribution in this month's Hocus Pocus Parade from Daryl Rogers. He was giving some variations on the stoplight trick. And Clark is saying, I love how magic always will have drama. Yeah, always has, always will. Magicians, man. What are you going to do? Thank you, Ken. So, I wanted to give a quick demonstration of a very old magic trick. In fact, this goes back to 1944 when it was first published and sold. So I wanted to give a quick demonstration of the original as it would have been done, although I am using my homemade rough version, so forgive the particulars of the prop. I literally whipped this up this morning to demonstrate this. So this is called the stoplight trick because it has three kind of stoplights. It has red, green, yellow cards. Got red and yellow and green and green. In addition to that, you have a folder or some sort of thing in which to put these three cards. So, they go into the folder. Like so. And whatever your presentation is, you would say, let's start by taking out the red card. So the red card, take that out, set that aside. That's one down. Then we will take out the yellow card. We take out the yellow card. So what does that leave in the envelope? We took out the red, we took out the yellow. People say, green, that's the green one. And it says, wrong. Yeah, it's on the other side. Wrong again. That's it. That's a demonstration of a 1944 trick called the stoplight tricks. And now I'm going to bring you where we go from there. And this is from the latest edition from the Hocus Pocus Parade and Daryl Rogers sharing some thoughts and variations on this.
Hi, my name is Daryl Rogers. I'm a member of IBM Ring 398. Our ring had a Ring Parade article in the February issue of The Linking Ring. I submitted a couple of different effects for that article. I wanted to talk some about one of those effects that I submitted, and that is the stoplight trick variations. This is the original package for the stoplight trick that I bought back around 1968 or so, and I believe this is still available from Haynes House of Cards. And I did get permissions from Joe Frog, the current owner of Haynes House of Cards, to share all this information with you. So in the original stoplight trick, what you received was green card, double-sided, red and yellow cards that are riveted together on the bottom, so you can show them apparently as two. And then when you pull them out, you can show that as one. And where did the missing card go? Well, you pull it out, it's wrong. When they want to see the other side, it's wrong again. So it's just a typical sucker trick. And I used this for many years, and I still even use it to this day. The original directions said to put the cards in a newspaper, then throw the newspaper away. I just use a manila envelope. The newspaper was getting the cards kind of discolored. But I like that trick so much that I started coming up with variations on it for different holidays and for different reasons. One of the first things I came up with was one for Christmas. And in this version, instead of just a blank manila envelope, there's a picture of a house decorated for Christmas. And in this story, Santa Claus comes with his reindeer. So in this case, I have a double-sided reindeer card and then a reindeer and Santa cards put together. The surprise thing is Santa vanishes in a puff of smoke. The other side, nothing left but his ho, ho, ho. And that worked okay, but I decided that to try to take a little bit of the sting out and to add a piece from another trick that I saw. So originally, this is what I did. I had a Santa Claus cutout that matched the card with a pin in the back, and I would just pin this onto the back of my jacket, ow, before I started performing. But you see what happens. And sometimes it would fall off. So that would work, but it wasn't as reliable as I wanted it to be. So then I got the bright idea to use a magnet. And so now I can just snap the thing on my back and the magnets hold really good. There are a lot of other variations that you can do with this. The next thing I came up with was for Halloween. And for this, it's a haunted house. Inside the haunted house, you will find a witch and a ghost and a witch. You pull the cards out, you pull the witches out. Where did the ghost go? Well, he vanished. There's nothing left but his boo. Show the other side, it just says trick or treat. And then I have a cutout ghost that the kids can find on my back. And I forgot that I did this, but this is something I did for a birthday party a while ago for a kid who was really a Lion King fan. And I took the image from where the, whatever the Simba, I guess his name was, is running away from the jackals, or the hyenas, whatever they are. And the cards I came up with were Simba, yeah, they're hyenas, aren't they? A double-sided hyena card, a Simba with the hyenas, and then Simba vanishes, leaves nothing but his roar behind. Plus on the other side, Hakuna Matata. And then I have a little Simba here that gets stuck on my back. So there you go. That's stoplight trick, the variations that I've come up with. And you can imagine you can do this leprechauns for St. Patrick's Day, the hearts and cupids. It just goes on and on, the different things that you can do. One of my most versatile tricks. I hope you have fun messing around with it yourself and coming up with your own variations.
That was, again, Daryl sharing some stoplight tricks variations found in February 2021, page 107. And I love this sort of thing because it's one of those tricks that is adaptable to so many themes and so many variations as he showed. So anytime you're doing a show about anything, this trick can fit in there, because you got to think about, well, what's the like fundamental concept of the trick is you have three things, you take two out, and there's one that's left is either disappearing or changing. So whatever theme in Daryl's examples, he had almost like a three-card Monty kind of thing, where it was one object with two of the same on either side, which works very well for this trick because you pull out two, so it makes sense to pull out the two kind of non-important ones and leave the important one in. I think that's a good thing to keep in mind when you're customizing it. Or of course it could be three separate things. But I got to playing with this trick today, and as I was rebuilding the original, I got to think, oh, what else could I do? What if is always the question I try and ask. What if it's not done the way that they told me to do it? I'm very stubborn in that way. I don't listen. And that trick, invented in 1944, as Daryl mentioned, uses the idea of a rivet in the cards in order to make essentially it's like a self-contained two-card Monty trick. To turn two cards into one. And that was the technology of 1944, a rivet. So I was trying to think about, well, if we look at this with fresh eyes, what might happen. Again, this is just one day of playing with it. So could be good, could be terrible, but my point is, don't take it at face value. Like if you're looking at an old trick, the older it is, don't take it at face value. Even with like the Anverdi magic, as we were talking about, there's a lot of clever ideas in there. You don't necessarily have to take the whole thing. That idea of the split screw to act as a switch, I think, is a brilliant idea. So I'm thinking, well, where can I apply that? What else can I do with that? Anyway, so here's a variation on the spotlight tricks. Just a little bit different. Pros and cons, right? Every trick has pros and cons. So pro, in this version, I can show 3 separate cards, right? Otherwise, it's the same deal. You have your red, your yellow, and your green, but they are 3 separate cards, okay? In the original spotlight tricks, you would either have to sneak the card into the wrong card. You'd either have to sneak that in, or you would have to have it in there, like talking about using the envelope. It's in there from the beginning, so you can't show it empty. So I thought, here's another potential option for improvement. What if that is truly empty? And so now you put your 3 cards in, and you take out the red one, and then you take out the again, this is my rough prototype, so we'll see how well it works. But you take out it's not working well. And then you take out the yellow one and set that aside, and that leaves you with the wrong one remaining. So you begin and end clean as far as that goes. If that's important. I don't know if that's important to the way that you're going to do the trick. But I wanted to just share these couple little ideas about how to adapt a trick and how to look at it with fresh eyes and think, what could be done if this was invented today? So, it's using a technology that didn't exist in 1944. Instead of the rivet card to make that double, using something more common today, which is a little piece of acrylic mucilage, double stick tape. So now the advantage is you can show 2 distinct cards, and using the 2-card Monty illusion seems fine. But when needed, you've got your 1 red card. Like so. Instead of the rivet. Again, there's trade-offs. Because the great thing about this is that you could have a version from 1944 and it would still work every single time you do it. That rivet is there for life. Double-sided tape, that's going to wear out. You're going to need to replace it. So pros and cons, trade-off. Pro, you can show 2 separate cards. Con, it needs to be, what was Chuck's word? Tuned. It needs to be tuned up with some fresh tape. So the second part that I kind of looked at and considered about what could be done with this trick is about that extra card and getting the final card into the envelope. And I thought, okay, so you have your gimmicked set. That's a gimmick card, but in the original, this is not. This is just a plain old card. So this card isn't carrying its own weight. Can we put that card to work? And so I created this, which is a yellow card, which is also now gimmicked and doing some of the work. Because you can take this yellow card and put it in an otherwise empty envelope, and you can pull out the yellow card. However, there is now this in the envelope, because this is delivering it. Check this out. This is not a card. This is a tube that's flat. So you can take that card, insert it in there. So it's now the payload inside. Question is, how do you get it out? My original thought was, well, what if it's just slightly poking out and it's like a short card with a little bit of a lip? You could kind of just pull it out like that. But that's not the sort of thing you want to be fidgeting with in a show. So how can I make this fidget free? Well, how about this? Right there. Made a little window. That's going to be my pusher, so the yellow card goes into the envelope. And when I take out the yellow card, I'm actually doing this. So I'm pushing the card out and then pulling the folder off. right? So push, and then there's so much to grab. So is this an improvement? I'm not going to go out and make that claim that this is a great improvement. The point is, my encouragement is to look at old tricks. And just like Daryl was doing, looking at this old trick and thinking about the presentation, you can just as easily look at this old trick and think about the method and how to vary that. And you get different strengths and different weaknesses, but one may fit your performance better than another. So, that is my own personal diversion here tonight. And David saying, great variations of classic trick. You know, the funny thing is this stoplight trick's like, I've seen it at swap meets over the years. Certainly it pops up. I've never done it. I've never even considered it until Daryl sent me that video. And it made me think about it and made me look at its potential and be like, hey, this is a good trick. Thank you, Daryl. So yeah, this is hopefully the goal here tonight is just to inspire and share some ideas and get the old noodle bowl stirring up. I have one last thing to share. And it is because I did my homework. Last month, I put out a challenge, a scavenger hunt challenge, which was this: find a story about your home ring published before you became a member. Sadly, I did not receive any submissions. So I did my homework, but that seems to be it. I love doing this stuff. So I dug in and I found... which was it? 1964, I think it was. I found an edition of the Linking Ring, which not only had my home ring on the cover, Calgary, Alberta, ring 66, had 3 Calgary members on the cover of the magazine. It also contained a one-man Hocus Pocus Parade from Roy Cotty, who is the namesake of my current home ring here in Ottawa, Canada. So I hit it out of the park on my homework. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. Nailed it. 1964, August, I think, was the edition. So I've never met Roy Cotty. He's not actively attending ring meetings anymore, but I did get a chance to read about his magic, and I am pleasantly shocked. Real good magic, real solid magic, and I look forward to hopefully getting the chance to meet him when we can meet people again. But in the meantime, some of his magic. When I prepare this show, often it's a day or two of my time, and I'm looking for the ideas that are honestly quick, honestly simple ideas that I'm able to share and show without putting in too much work. In that edition, there was some great magic, fantastic stage magic, but it required building props. There was magic from Mickey Hades back in Calgary, who was a very ingenious builder of magic. I don't have time to do that sort of thing for this show. What I did find from Roy Cotty was a card move that is super simple and frankly just fun to play with. So let's try this out. I'm going to switch my cameras here in order to show you this, and golly, I hope this works, because this is one of those moves, it's a little bit knackety, if that's a phrase. All right. Got the old deck of cards here. And as I'm going through the cards, I'm going to get a person to say stop as I'll go a little bit slower and they stop. And that will be your card. I hope you can see that on the overhead camera. That is it. The old tap of the magic marker. And here we go. I hope this works. 1, 2, 3. Oh, man. This worked the first time, but then it didn't work the next 5 times. Oh, man. Gah! You know, I didn't think I had a close-up pad when I was trying it earlier. That might be all the difference. Here we go. Here we go. Yes! Oh, that wasn't it, though. Oh, because it was a crimped card. Oh, God. You know, this is one of those things. As I said, fun to play with, not 100% reliable yet, so I'm going to try this again. It's fun enough that I hope some people pick it up, and if anyone figures out how to make it 100% reliable, I'd love to hear about it. Let's try this again. Okay, so I say stop. That'll be your card, the 2, and we'll take that. Got our magic marker here, and 1, 2, 3. Yes, there it is, the 2. Wonderful. From Roy Cotty, that is. What did he call that one? The Dropping Jump Cut. August 1963, page 83. And fun fact, it was illustrated by Roy Cotty. I just found out today as I shared this with my local ring, he is a fantastic artist and painter. Somebody showed me a picture and it's amazing. Amazing work. So that is it, the dropping jump cut. So very quickly, because I know you want to play this with this, and not everyone is willing to dig back into the archive. So very quickly, I'll just give you the gist of it. I think it works better with a softer deck. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's what I'm struggling with. But give the deck a good, solid spring. So you get a nice bow going downward. You say stop about halfway, and you look at that card. While you're showing them that card, you want to reverse that bow so it's not going that way. You want to push it out and give it a good squeeze so it's going the other way. So when you put that deck together, it's like a little butterfly there. Okay? He mentioned using a pencil. I got my marker here. And you're going to drop it so that it hits that. And essentially what's happening is the deck is forming a trampoline on the bottom half in order to spring the top half off of it. And I've been playing with different angles to see what it's going to take to get that top to flip like that. Roy Cotty's dropping jump cut. Fun little card thingy. And that, I believe, brings us to the end of another edition of Inside the Ring, where we've delved into the pages of the magazine. As always, it is meant to encourage you to learn and discover and see what you find. Most of this stuff that I'm finding is by accident. I go looking for something else, happen to read the next page. In fact, this issue, what was it again? August 1963. There's some crazy stuff in there. From the, like I said, Mickey Hades has some fantastic stuff. There is an article in there about magic squares from the Middle East, like the numbers, like how all the numbers add up. So there's this magic square using Persian numbers. And because of Persian numbers, they're similar to Roman numerals in a sense. They're like V's and I's and whatnot. And so using Persian numerals, this magic square works normally. It works reversed. It works in a mirror. And no matter what orientation, like you flip it, it works. You mirror it, it works. Because it's... Think of that. Weird stuff in there. Dig into the archives. Thank you so much. Appreciate everyone being here, joining me live. Appreciate our virtual applause here coming in. And that is it. I will see you next month with more Inside the Ring. And as always, I welcome your contributions. I'd love to have your performances and your videos featured on the show here because it makes my job a lot more fun and a little bit easier. Two important things for this show to carry on. So I'm out of things. I've been saying goodbye for the last 5 minutes. So good night.